Curious George discovers germs. Curious George discovers germs, adaptation by Erica Zappi, based on a TV series teleplay written by Peter Hirsch. George was a good little monkey and always very curious, but sometimes even good little monkeys find themselves not feeling so well. How did George know he was sick? The story starts with spaghetti sauce. George's favorite day of the week was Sauce Day at Chef Pischetti's restaurant. He always gave Chef Pischetti some tips to make the best sauce, but today, instead of being able to taste the chef's new Molto Jolto sauce, George couldn't taste anything. Did you know when you say you can't taste something because you have a cold, it's really because you can't smell it? Your sense of smell is responsible for most of what you taste, so when your nose is stuffed up, it's hard to smell or taste much of anything. Chef Pischetti sent George home, and the man with the yellow hat sent George to bed. Then he took George's temperature. Fever, stuffy nose, clammy paws, said the man. You are definitely fighting a germ, George. Do you know what a germ is? George was curious. The man got out a book. There was a picture of a funny-looking blob. This is a bad germ, George. There are good germs and bad germs. A bad germ is making you sick, the man explained. Germs are very small. They can be found anywhere in your body, your nose, your mouth, your stomach, your lungs. But that's enough biology for today. Tired monkeys need their rest. Did you know the word biology means the study of life and living things? If you are a biologist, you might work with plants, animals, or the human body. Someday you will study biology in school. George might have been sick, but he was still curious. Where did the germ come from? And more important, how could he get rid of it? He was still wondering when he dozed off. Soon George was dreaming. In his dream, he was very small, like a germ. He and his pal Noki were going to take a trip inside George's sleeping body to fight off the bad germs. Did you know the man with the yellow hat said that some germs are good and some are bad? That means that in your body right now are some bacteria or germs that help your body instead of making you sick. Good germs can help make vitamins that your body needs. You can even get some of these good bacteria by eating favorite foods such as yogurt and cheese. George and Noki zoomed into sleeping George's mouth and landed right on his tongue. It was soft and squishy, and there was music playing. They hadn't expected that. What could it be? It seemed to be coming from his nose. When George and Noki got to the nose, they saw a funny-looking blob strumming a guitar and singing, I'll make you sniff and I'll make you sneeze. You won't be smelling that smelly cheese. We'll be making you sweat and making you squirm because that's how germs are being germs. George could hardly believe his eyes. I'm Toots, the singing germ, he introduced himself, and these are my backup singers, the germettes. Did you know when you are sick with a cold germ, the inside of your nose becomes inflamed or irritated and swollen and produces mucus that stuffs you up or makes your nose run? Your body makes mucus all the time, but when you are sick, there is more of it. Sometimes it helps to use a humidifier, take a hot bath, and drink a lot of fluids. Seeing Toots in his nose made George upset. He wanted that germ out of him, but Toots did not want to go. In fact, he took the germettes and headed to George's lungs, laughing and singing all the way. George and Noki chased the germs to the lungs. George noticed that when the lungs got smaller, air went out. When the lungs got bigger, a rush of air came in. He was watching himself breathe. Test it out. Put your hand just above your belly button. Take a deep breath in. Do you feel your tummy getting bigger? That's because your lungs are filling up with air. Now breathe all the way out. What happens then? Try breathing fast or slow. See how your body changes when you do this. George's lungs gave him an idea. He remembered something he saw in the germ book. Coughing and sneezing are the lungs' way of doing their job in trying to force out bad germs. All George had to do was sneeze Toots right out of his body. Did you know it is really hard to sneeze with your eyes open? Your body sneezes when it's trying to get something out of your nose. A germ, dust, pet hair, pollen, anything. Closing your eyes is just a reflex that your body makes when a sneeze happens. The same as when your doctor tests your reflexes on your knee. George and Noki chased Toots and the germettes all the way to George's nose. Then with one big sneeze, thanks to some well-positioned tickling, out went Toots and the germettes out into the air looking for a new place to live. A few days later, George was feeling much better. He had taken lots of naps, drunk lots of water and juice, and sneezed out those germs. He could even smell again. But it was clear where Toots and the germites had found a new home. George's friend, the man with the yellow hat, was sick. The man had taken such good care of George when he was sick. Now George wanted to help his friend get better too, so he made some soup. Did you know eating chicken noodle soup is good for a cold? Why? Some doctors say the hot soup helps clear your stuffy nose, and the broth provides necessary fluids when you're sick. Other doctors think that some of the ingredients in chicken soup help with the inflammation that causes your nose to get all stuffy in the first place. Whatever the case, soup is tasty, and eating it when you are sick is a good thing. George brought the soup to the man's bed. "Thanks, George," the man said, but when he tried the soup, he couldn't taste anything. George wanted to taste it, but his friend stopped him. "George, don't use that spoon. It might be covered with my cold germs. You don't want to get sick again, do you?" the man asked. George definitely did not want to get sick again. That made George curious. How else did germs get from one person to another? He looked at his germ book. George knew that the germs were in him just a few days ago, but his friend had not used George's spoon or fork or cup. Do you think the man caught George's germs when he sneezed or coughed? Did you know if you don't have a tissue handy, you should cough or sneeze into your elbow? If you cough or sneeze into your hand, the germs will be on your hand. Then when you touch a doorknob, a sink, a pen, utensils, or even someone else's hand, you will spread your germs. And even worse, if you don't cover up at all, your germs can go really far. Some scientists say that a single sneeze can travel 100 miles or 160 kilometers per hour and spread over 100,000 germs. Looking at the book made George sleepy. He drifted into another dream. Now he and Noki were inside the man with the yellow hat's body. There was music again coming from the man's stomach. They needed to find Toots so they could kick him out again. "Well, I've been lots of places, floating free as a wheeze, riding on your silverware or flying on sleeves. I played in many people all across this great big land, especially in the folks who don't like to wash their hands, because soap makes me wiggle and soap makes me sneer. One sign of soap, and this Toots is out of here." If George heard Toots correctly, getting his friend to wash his hands would be a good way to help him get rid of the germs and feel better. But Toots and the Germettes remembered George and knew they needed to get away from him. "We're off to play in another body," Toots said. They were going to infect someone else. "Get ready to hop on that hand when he wipes his nose," yelled Toots to his Germettes. George didn't want the germs inside his friend, but he didn't want anyone else to be sick either. He had to stop them. Did you know, even though George saw a picture of a germ in a book, germs are invisible to humans. They are so small that you can see them only by looking through a microscope. Germs can hide on just about anything a person touches, so it is important to use healthy habits like using tissues, washing your hands, and staying home from school when you are sick. When the bell rang and the man got up to answer the door, Toots and the Germettes were ready for a new body. Professor Wiseman's. She had also made soup for her sick friend. George and Noki zoomed out after the germs and landed with a thud on Professor Wiseman's hand. The germs were startled. "Ooh, it feels like something is crawling on my hand," Professor Wiseman said. "I should probably wash them." Did you know everyone, kids and adults, should wash their hands with soap before they eat, after they use the bathroom, and when they are through playing with toys, using public transportation, or visiting public places? We use our hands to touch all kinds of things. That is why it's important to keep them out of your mouth and wash them often. Professor Wiseman went to the bathroom and watched Toots and the Germettes right down the drain. Not only had George chased those germs out of his friend, he and some soap had stopped them from getting Professor Wiseman sick too. When George woke up from his dream, he felt great, but he went straight to the bathroom to wash his hands and feet just in case. After 2 icky adventures with Toots, this healthy little monkey wanted to stay that way. 5-second rule. If you drop a piece of food on the ground, do you ever hear someone say, "Pick it up quick, 5-second rule"? Often people call out the 5-second rule because they think that if you get food off the floor quickly enough, there won't be any germs on it. But did you know that scientists have done studies to show that even in less than 5 seconds, germs can make their way onto food and into your body? You can try this experiment at home. Here's the directions. You can always pause or take a screenshot. If you take 2 slices of fresh bread, 2 zipper lock bags, and a permanent marker, first wash your hands with soap and water and place 1 slice of bread in the bag and close it tight. Make sure to get all of the extra air out and label this one with an A. Drop the other piece of bread flat on the floor in your kitchen, bathroom, on a rug, or even outside. And leave the bread on the ground for a full 5 seconds. You can count by saying 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, until you get to 5 Mississippis. Then place that piece of bread in the second bag. Don't forget to get all the air out of it and zip it closed and label this one B so you remember which is which. Check on your pieces of bread each day until mold begins to show. Did one piece get moldy more quickly or in more places? Which one? And what do you think happened? This is when somebody else did the experiment here, but you can try it on your own and see if you get the same results. Here's a recipe for chicken noodle soup if you wanted to make it at home. Here are some healthy habits for you. Some ideas are washing your hands before and after eating, after using the bathroom, after playing with animals, even your own pets, before and after visiting sick friends or family, after you cough or sneeze or blow your nose, and after playing outside. All right. Thanks for listening.